Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back. Feels like I've been away for a long time, but I really hadn't. It just was Friday that we missed on the podcast. It was a big Friday because we missed our Flashback Friday episode. Don't worry, no frets. We'll do that this Friday, and it'll be a big show, and it'll be a lot of fun. So hopefully you'll tune in for that. But it's Monday, the Monday after Dad's Day. And I'm feeling really good. I'm feeling refreshed. I needed that weekend. It was a great weekend. I hope you enjoyed your weekend. Let's get this podcast kicked off the right way here on Monday. Here on the LouieTeeNetwork podcast. Let's go. Who else could it be? But me, your man, Louie T. Welcome to the 172nd installment of the LouieTeeNetwork podcast. I, of course, am your set man, Louie T. Thank you for joining me. Big shout out to Casper Hill. You were the first one in the chat. Yo, what's up? What up, Casper? You know, I'm going to start doing it. The first person in the chat on the podcast, I'm going to give you a quick shout out. So, what up, Casper? Hope you had a great weekend. And I don't know if you guys got a chance to watch the basketball over the weekend. I'm going to tell you right now, the 2 Game 7s were outstanding. Outstanding. Both of them were worth the price of admission. Now, the 2 teams I wanted to win both lost. So I wasn't happy leaving either one of them. And look, none of the teams playing were my team. So it's not like I was living or dying off of every shot. You know, I wasn't hanging at the edge of my seat because this was my favorite team. However, there was a little bit of a rooting interest involved. My dad is a 76ers fan, so I was rooting for the 76ers. I wanted to see my dad be happy about that. They didn't get it done. And the Nets, I felt like were the team that was going to win the whole thing. I had predicted that before the NBA playoffs got underway, so I wanted to be right. So they were the team that I was rooting for. Obviously couldn't foresee the injuries that took place, and this has been a very injury-marred postseason. And, you know, LeBron James is speaking out about the season, and no one cares about any of that stuff. The bottom line is it's a war of attrition. The healthiest team is more likely than not going to host the O'Brien Trophy. Right now, the Phoenix Suns probably qualify as the most healthiest team once they get Chris Paul back from his quick COVID sabbatical, maybe game 2. But if the Clippers can get Kawhi back, if they can find a way, and I don't know the severity of the injury, they're being very tight-lipped about it, which leads me to believe that he's not going to be back. But if somehow they can prolong that series long enough that Kawhi can give them something, maybe game 5 or 6, the Clippers have a legitimate shot at beating the Suns. I honestly think the Suns might be the best team left, and that's crazy to say because the Suns are good. They're not great. They're very beatable, but the draw in the bracket has kind of fell in their favor because I felt like Portland would have given them – they would have beaten Portland, trust me. But they wouldn't have swept Portland, okay? They would not have swept the Trailblazers. They got the Nuggets without Jamal Murray, and I thought that was the perfect matchup for them, especially – with Michael Porter Jr. having his back flare up the way that it did. It really just stopped any momentum that the Nuggets had. And so the Lakers have any injuries, the Nuggets taking care of the Blazers, and now the Clippers having Kawhi go down. It couldn't have fell any more perfect for the Phoenix Suns. And now with the Nets out, that's the only team in the East that I thought they definitely can't beat. They can beat any team in the East. They could have beaten the 76ers had they advanced. They could definitely beat the Atlanta Hawks. They can definitely beat the Milwaukee Bucks. And had the Bucks lost to the, or not the Bucks, had the, I said all 4 teams. Bucks, Nets, 76ers, and Hawks. Out of those 4 teams, the only one I was assured the Suns couldn't beat. And the only reason I don't want the Suns to win, well, 2 reasons actually. 1, I can't stand Chris Paul. 2, One of my best friends is a Phoenix Suns fan, and this feels eerily similar to last football season with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Me rooting vehemently against the Buccaneers and them winning every step of the way, ultimately hoisting the Lombardi. This kind of feels similar to that. If they win the chip, I will never hear the end of it from him. So I don't want them to win, but ultimately I feel like they're going to win now. The Nets were the only team that I felt like was in their way, stopping them from winning. And I don't, just like this same friend that I'm talking about, he has a grudge against Randy Moss and didn't want Randy Moss to win a championship. I have the same grudge against Chris Paul, and I'm doing my best. I got my best juju machine out, shooting it at Chris Paul, hoping that, you know, I reached out and touched him with the COVID stick. Now, I'm not looking for someone to get COVID, you know, and that's not how I wanted it. I just want them to lose, and I want Chris Paul to struggle. I don't want him hurt. I don't want him to have COVID or anything like that. I just want him to play poorly and the Suns to lose. But I don't know if that's going to happen or not. So I'm telling you this right now. I'm really in a tough spot. So I've been having trouble with my camera setup, as you can see, and I've been trying a whole bunch of stuff. I actually don't know what the hell is going on. I'm gonna figure it out, but I've been troubleshooting, but I have yet to figure out what exactly the hell is going on. So we're gonna have to keep dealing with these kind of inconveniences until I do figure out what is going on with my camera and the battery. And we'll figure it out. I'm going to continue to troubleshoot and figure out this damn puzzle. This has happened before, and I didn't fix anything. It just corrected itself. So I don't actually know how I got it to work the last time. And so I'm hoping it just corrects itself again this time, but it's taking a lot longer this time than it did the last time. So I don't know what the hell's going on, but I digress. I've talked your head off long enough at the beginning of this show about anything other than football. You like, I didn't come here for basketball. I get it. Let's jump into the show today, shall we? I think we shall. Let me drop this gem on your melon. Open your mind, let your conscience be free. You're now rolling with your man, Louie T double E. Let me open you up. Get you thinking a little bit. So, today, I was scrolling through my Bleacher Report feed, taking a look at some interesting topics for the show. Looking around, you know, Yahoo Sports and all these different sites. Fan-sided, all these different sites that give me ideas, you know, for talking points on the show, or maybe something that I've talked about, but maybe they have a different angle than I've attacked it at, and I'm like, hey, this is a pretty interesting angle. So this article that I was reading was talking about the 2018 quarterbacks and how they're all slated to be paid this offseason or coming up very shortly. And obviously, we've been talking about Lamar Jackson. It feels like for the last year or so about how do you handle Lamar Jackson? How do you pay him? Do you pay Lamar Jackson? What are the Ravens going to do? Ultimately, the Ravens are going to pay Lamar Jackson. They're not crazy, and nobody wants to wander into the quarterback wilderness. And they've already committed to the style of play that they have to make Lamar Jackson successful. And they built their roster around Lamar Jackson. So they really would be smart, and it'd be in their best interest to go ahead and keep him locked up long term in Baltimore. And I think they're going to ultimately do that. There were questions about Baker Mayfield probably before Kevin Stefanski got to Cleveland last year, and whether Baker Mayfield was really a franchise quarterback and a guy that you wanted to lock up. I think he answered a lot of those questions, and leading the Browns to their first, postseason appearance since, the early 2000s, and winning their first playoff game in what seems like an eternity, and getting them within, maybe a couple of touchdowns, and maybe even a what was the name of the player that fumbled the football right at the corner of the end zone? I can't remember. Was that the receiver from Colorado State? I feel like it was him. Either way, they were essentially a fumble in the corner of the end zone. A great play by can't think of the damn safety's name for the Kansas City Chiefs, but he made a hell of a play. A lot of people were, that's helmet to helmet contact. If you're gonna have that rule, you need to call it. Man, shut up. Okay, that was a good, clean, wholesome football play. Okay, you want to dive and try to stretch for the pylon? You open yourself up and expose yourself to those types of hits. That was a good football play. Clean, wholesome, good football play. And anyway, I digress. Baker Mayfield was outstanding last year. On the road against Pittsburgh in the postseason, on the road against Kansas City, almost leading his team to a victory. I think he solidified his spot now as a guy that needs to be paid and is a franchise quarterback in Cleveland. And Josh Allen, there was a lot of talk about Josh Allen the first couple years of his career in Buffalo. Last year, he set the NFL ablaze with his play. He was in the MVP conversation, and a lot of people view him as a top 5 quarterback in this league, not in the AFC or not, among young quarterbacks under 30 years old. No, in the league, okay? That's including Rodgers, Mahomes, Brady, and all of those guys. Top 5. That's how people view Josh Allen now, and rightfully so. The guy was spectacular last year, and if you think that that's something he can replicate, and keep in mind, this is 2 straight years of the Bills making it to the postseason on the back of Josh Allen. So this guy is starting to prove that it's not a fluke. This is who he is, and he's getting better and better every season. So I looked at that group of names, Jackson, Allen, Mayfield, and I said, of that group, you're starting a team tomorrow, and you have to pick a quarterback from the 2018 NFL draft. Which one of those guys are you going to pick first? Which one of those guys are you going to pick second? Which one of those guys are you going to pick third? And I think after that, there's no need to really rank the quarterbacks. I think Darnold would be fourth, obviously, among that group. But I think if you're ranking those quarterbacks, how would you rank them? And I sat there and I thought about it because I guess it all depends on your taste, what kind of philosophy you have and, what you think is important in order to be successful in the league. For me, I was always the Josh Allen guy, so it wouldn't change for me. It hasn't changed, and it's always been this way for me, that Josh Allen was my number one. He was my number 1 quarterback in that 2018 draft. I thought he was the best of that group. I thought he should have been the number 1 pick overall. I thought he had the best skill set. I thought he had the size. He had the athleticism. He had the arm talent, everything you were looking for. And, people tried to pick and probe and prod at the completion percentage at Wyoming. And they didn't take into consideration all of the different factors that went into that. And, he didn't start off his NFL career as the most accurate passer of the football, but look at what happened last year, and people are just amazed. And I'm like, well, if you go back and watch him in 2017, and I want to say the 2016 season is when he was outstanding, and had all of his weapons and all of the guys that went to the NFL that year, the following year were still there. He was outstanding. But that's nor here nor there. For me, it would be Josh Allen, 1. I think the real debate then comes at number 2. And how do you view Baker Mayfield? Do you think he is ascending? Is he a guy that can overtake Lamar Jackson? And do you believe in Lamar Jackson as a passer? I think that's what it ultimately boils down to, is can you win with Lamar Jackson in the postseason when you have to be able to throw the football? Do you believe in Lamar Jackson's skill set enough? I do. So Lamar would be 2 for me. Mayfield would be 3 for me. However, I would understand if somebody decided to go Mayfield 2, Jackson 3. But keep in mind, this is a league MVP, a former league MVP in Lamar Jackson. And the guy is dynamic, and I still believe there is some upside. I do believe he can get better as a passer. They can surround him with more weaponry. They did add some guys to the mix. You hope those guys stay healthy. But they added a receiver via free agency and another one via the draft in Bateman and in Samuel Watkins to go along with Hollywood Brown. Hollywood! And all the tight ends that they feature. You'd like to think that there is plenty of weaponry now for Lamar Jackson and really no excuses as to why he can't get it done. The backfield is loaded as it's been the last 3-4 years strong. So what is the problem? We're going to find out if there is a simple problem, and it's just Lamar Jackson's inability to throw the football consistently. If he can correct that, or if the weaponry around him is better and it's one that's consistent around him, we'll see what happens. But for me, it's Allen, it's Jackson, it's Mayfield. And of the three, I think Mayfield may actually get paid first because I don't think his deal will be as difficult to get done. He hasn't done anything to ascend in the NFL as a top tier quarterback. He hasn't won an MVP. He hasn't threatened to win an MVP. You look at what the Browns are as a football team, and Mayfield has been really solid, but they're really predicated on their ground game with Chubb and Hunt and company. And so Mayfield has done a good job of being a caretaker. So I think his deal may actually be easier to get done because he shouldn't command as much money. Now, with that said, also, if you're Baker Mayfield, you don't necessarily need to push the envelope. Why? Because he's making a ton of money off the field. We've seen the endorsements for Baker Mayfield. He's an excellent actor, and he's making good money off the field, which all of these quarterbacks can't say. You haven't seen a commercial with Josh Allen in it. I don't know if you've seen a commercial with Lamar Jackson in it or not. You may have seen one or two. I think I've seen one or two. But you haven't seen a commercial with Josh Allen in it. So if I'm a guy like Allen, I need all my bread. Okay? I need all of it. Every single crumb. But if I'm Baker Mayfield, I can afford to not necessarily kill it in terms of a contract. Even though I want the most money I can get, I've got some money stashed away from some commercials that I've done, and I've got more bread coming from endorsement deals off the field. So, with Baker Mayfield, I think the deal gets done with him before it does with Jackson, which is a bit of a convoluted situation. And then Allen is a situation where you're looking around and Allen's saying, hey, I might be top 5 in the league right now. I need top 5 bread. And the Bills are saying, I think you're right. All right, hold on a second. We're going to scrounge up all our nickels, dimes, and quarters together and see if we can make this thing happen. Word on the street is that Josh Allen is willing to help the Bills out, not from a financial standpoint in terms of taking a hometown discount, even though he loves it in Buffalo, but he's willing to take a more team-friendly deal, similar to the one Patrick Mahomes. Everybody's on Mahomes. Oh my God, how could you sign a deal that's not going to age well? Well, Mahomes is like, bro, I'm good. I did just sign for $500,000, okay? I did just sign for $500,000, okay? So I'm not tripping. Okay. And yeah, could I have gotten more had I signed a 4-year deal and then turned around and signed another 4-year deal? Absolutely. He could have maximized his money and gotten even more than he signed in that $3 million deal or whatever it was. He said, that's not the biggest thing for me. The biggest thing is for me to make sure that we're still able to contend while I'm here. And while I'm in the prime of my career, I want Kelsey, I want Hill, I want to be able to add other pieces. I want to be able to put an offensive line in front of me that can protect me. And so he understands that I don't have to kill it and get every single cent. Why? Because I'm also killing it off the field. How many Patrick Mahomes commercials have you seen already? Because I've seen a bunch of them. So he understands. Just some of these NBA players, they get it too. Not all of them, because some of them are trying to build empires. Like LeBron's like, look, I need all my money because I'm trying to own teams and things of that nature. I'm making all of these big time investments. I need all my bread. If I'm going to be a business mogul and take over some shit, I need all my money. But, for a while there, KD was like, look, I don't need all of my money. I need most of it, but I'm willing to sacrifice so that I can win some championships. After he got his championships, he's like, yo, I need all my money. Now I'm looking up, and it's dudes that I think are top 40, but like at the back end of the top 40 making more money than me. And I'm a top 3 player in the league. Top 2, number 1, depending on who you ask. Player in the league, like, come on now, this shit's getting out of control. I need my money. So in the NFL, most guys aren't getting paid that kind of money. Now, they're not getting paid top dollar. But if you're a quarterback and you win, and you're marketable, you don't necessarily have to kill it off on the field in terms of how much you're getting paid, because you can also eat twice on the field and off it. Most guys in the NFL aren't eating twice. They're just eating whatever they're getting fed by their teams. But if you're a quarterback and you're playing well and you're very marketable, like Dak Prescott, that's why Dak wasn't tripping. Like, Dallas can try to milk this. He said, ultimately, I'm going to get you in the end. I got you by the balls, but I'm not worried. I'm not tripping. Why? Because I'm the quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys. I got I got all these commercials. I got sleep bed commercials, and I got, Dan and yogurt commercials, and I got chunky soup commercials. I got commercials coming out of my eyeballs, man. I'm making money here, man. I don't have to sign a long-term deal right away. I'll just milk you for this 30-something here, and I'll milk you for another 30-something there, and then when you're ready to get to the table and sign this lucrative deal, then we'll get there. But that's why he wasn't tripping. He was making the money off the field. And Patrick Mahomes, same thing. Josh Allen's like, I'm not necessarily making that kind of money off the field, so I need my money. But what I'll do is I'll sign a deal that will allow you to maybe backload some of that money, or when we get to a point where it gets outrageous and I'm going to count $41 million against the cap, we'll come back to the table and we'll have it set up where we can reduce the stress and the pressure that my contract is putting on the cap, and we'll be able to make some moves and maneuver some money around so that everything works out well and we can still surround me with enough talent to be competitive and try to win some chips. So he's already said, I'm open to having a contract be team friendly, but not in the sense of me giving up any money, but making it a contract that's flexible enough that you can move money around to make sure that we have all of the pieces we need to try to compete and win. So it'll be interesting to see whose deal gets done first and what that deal looks like. Nobody wants to be first, right? Because if your deal comes in and it's light compared to the deals that get done after you, then you're like, shit, I should have waited. So nobody wants to be first, but somebody's going to have to be first. I think that guy's going to be Baker Mayfield, because when I look at his situation, he's making money off the field. He hasn't won an MVP. He hasn't even been close. And he was inconsistent for a little while there, and he got back on track last season. He's had 2 really good seasons out of 3. And so really what it all amounts to is, you're more reliant on the run game than the other 2 quarterbacks, and you haven't done anything of note to this point. So you go ahead and get your money. It's going to be a lot less than the other 2, and you should be fine with that. Whereas with Lamar, it's a little convoluted because you're taking into consideration, can he stay healthy? He's got this running style. Can he be a more accurate passer and consistent? So there's a lot of different things you got to explore with Lamar Jackson. But Lamar's camp is saying, bro, I was the MVP of the league 2 years ago. I ain't trying to hear none of that shit you're talking about. Every year I've been the starter of this team, including my rookie season when I took over for Jared Flacco, midway through the season. We've gone to the postseason. Now, we haven't had a ton of success, but I got us a win last year. Okay, took a step forward. I know I got hurt in that game, but at the end of the day, pay me. So that's going to be an interesting situation. Josh Allen's going to be interesting. I think Mayfield gets done first. I think after that, you'll see Allen and Jackson kind of fall in line, and those 2 deals will definitely exceed the one that Baker Mayfield gets. Who will have the larger of the 2 deals between Allen and Jackson? Very interesting. I think that guy may ultimately be Jackson. I think Jackson, because of the MVP, we know that NFL contracts are based off of numbers, and there isn't much that can be said when I just slap on the desk, I want an MVP, and I slide that across the desk. What are you gonna say if you're the Baltimore Ravens? You can't say shit. I led you to 14-2. I was league MVP that year. Shit happened in the playoffs. It wasn't ideal, but I did my part. I gave us a shot. So they're going to have to break him off, and I think his deal may be a little bit sweeter than that of Josh Allen. And I'll say this as well. I think both of their deals may eclipse $40 million per year. There, I said it. I think you could be looking at, 4 years, $165 million, $164. That'll make it a nice even $41 million per year. Or no, it wouldn't. Yes, it would. 4 years, $164 million would make it an even $41 million per year. I could see somebody getting that, and then if that person goes first, the next one will be like 165 or something like that. So we'll see what happens. I just find it really fascinating, and I just want to throw this last caveat in there. When we talk about quarterbacks, And, you know, there are these different camps out there. You don't have to have a top 10 quarterback. You don't have to have a first round quarterback. You can find a quarterback. You know, there's the Andy Daltons in the second round, the Russell Wilsons, the Kirk Cousins in the third round. You can find you a guy. You don't necessarily have to. Those guys are anomalies. Okay. Just so you know, 5 quarterbacks taken in the first round in 2018. Mayfield, Darnold, Allen, Rosen, Jackson. Of the 5, 3 of them successful to this point of their careers. One, I think, is going to be very successful this year. I think Sam Darnold in the offense with Joe Brady is going to explode in 2021, but we'll see. And Josh Rosen is a bust, period, end of discussion. And of the 5 quarterbacks that were drafted in the top 10 in 2018, 4 of them were traded up to be selected. Okay, remember, Darnold was traded up 4. The Jets traded up to number 3 to get Darnold. The Bills traded up to number 7 to get Allen. The Cardinals traded up to 10 to get Rosen. And the Ravens traded back into the first round at 32nd overall to get Lamar Jackson. So if you see a guy, you identify a guy, don't be afraid to go up and get your guy. Don't wait, because if you wait, you'll mess around and have one of these guys. These are all the quarterbacks that were some of the quarterbacks. I don't know if this were all of them. These were the ones that came to my mind off the top of my head when I was listing the quarterbacks that I could think of from that 18 draft. Luke Falk, I thought he was actually going to be a solid NFL quarterback. Boy, was I wrong. Boy, was he bad in New York with the Jets when he got an opportunity. Mike White out of, what was it? I want to say it was one of those Kentucky schools. Western Kentucky, I think he went to. And he was actually really good in college, and I thought he might be a solid NFL backup. I haven't heard a peep out of Mike White. I think he got drafted by the Dallas Cowboys, and I haven't heard from him since. What about Kyle Lalata? We made all this noise about the Richmond Spider, Kyle Lalata, and oh my God, how this guy's so athletically gifted, and he's got a little bit of an arm, and he may be able to come in here and be one of these, you know, 3rd, 4th round guys that lights it up. Boy, did he stink. So Lalata, Danny Etling was a 7th round pick by the Patriots. We thought, here go the Patriots again, finding some, you know, down in the dumps quarterback late in the draft, you know, and out of an SEC school that they're going to turn around. Nah, not happening with Danny Etling. He stunk. Logan Woodside and Mason Rudolph were the 2 quarterbacks that have actually had solid backup careers. But, you know, Logan Woodside, I mean, it's Logan Woodside. And Mason Rudolph's claim to fame right now is getting clubbed over the head by another man's helmet. Okay, so at this point, I mean, that's the rest of the guys in the 2018 NFL draft at the quarterback position. So I want to continue to hammer home the point that if you want a guy, you probably need to go get him. There are no guarantees in this thing. But in 2017, the Chiefs identified Patrick Mahomes. They came all the way up from the late 20s all the way to number 10 to get Mahomes. And the Texans followed suit. They identified Deshaun Watson, and they came up and got him. So if you see a guy and you think that's your guy, like the Bears did this past year, go and get your guy. Don't wait. But that's interesting in 2018. Looking at those quarterbacks, I bet you if the Browns had to do over again, they're fine with Baker Mayfield, but if they had over to do again, they'd take Josh Allen. If this were a redraft, they'd take Josh Allen, without a doubt. And the Jets, they would probably take Baker Mayfield, or I don't think they would have taken Lamar Jackson, even though you see what I don't know if they were willing. You had to be able to commit. You had to be willing to commit to the style of play that Lamar Jackson was going to be comfortable in order to get the results and produce the results that we've seen from Jackson to this point of his career. And the only team that was willing to do it were the Baltimore Ravens. So I don't know if the Jets would have been interested in doing what the Ravens did, but I think Allen would have been the number 1 overall pick if they had to do over again. But we will see. I got a couple of super chats. I want to knock these out real quick. I got a super chat here. Andre Bug, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. My guy Andre Bug writes, What's good, Louie T? Thank you for all of your updates and info on our Washington football team. Thank you for referring me to Manscaped, hashtag a life changer. That is awesome. I am so happy that I was able to send that your way. I'm trying to tell y'all these products are A1, and I wouldn't bring anything to your doorstep that I didn't endorse myself. I can't try and pawn off a product on you guys that I don't necessarily believe in myself. So again, if I'm promoting it, it's because I've tried it and I believe in it. So again, I want to thank you, Andre, for entrusting yourself in me and the fact that I wouldn't lead you astray and giving it a run and realizing that it was awesome. I really do appreciate you supporting me as well, because that support is definitely warranted and needed, and I thank you for that as well, man. So the love goes both ways, man. I really do appreciate you and all that you do for the Louie T Network as well. Redneck Rocker 101. Thank you for the super chat. Redneck Rocker 01 writes, how long do you expect Jack Del Rio to be on the Washington football team staff? As long as he wants to. I don't see him going anywhere. I don't see him getting another head coaching gig. I think that time has come and gone for Jack Del Rio. I think he's now a career defensive coordinator, similar to like Dick LeBeau. And so, sometimes guys, they run their course. They get their opportunities to be head coaches. Del Rio's had 2 different stints, one in Jacksonville, one in Oakland. I don't see him getting another job, anytime soon at least. I don't think he's getting another job, period, as a head guy. And so, I think he's like a Wade Phillips now, pretty much. Hey, you had your chances to be a head coach. Now you're a coordinator. You're a lifetime coordinator. And I think he's he's a football guy. He's a lifer. He's always going to be around the game of football because he loves it. It's what he was born to do. Whether it's playing or coaching, that's what Jack Del Rio is. He's a football lifer. So he's not going to just stop coaching until he can't physically do it anymore or he's burnt out, which he got away from the game. That being burnt out generally only happens when you've been doing something for an elongated period of time with no rest, no break. He was out of football for a couple of years after he was fired from the Raiders job. So he was doing ESPN and television, and it gave him a chance to probably miss coaching. And so when he got the opportunity from Ron Rivera to get back in, he probably was elated and jumped at the bit to get back into coaching. So I don't see him going anywhere anytime soon. Does he always agree with the way that Ron does things? No. You can tell there are some ways that Ron handles some things that he would handle differently. But at the end of the day, I think he loves where he is. I think he loves coaching the guys that he's coaching. And I don't see Del Rio going anywhere anytime soon. John Perez, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you, JP. I want to give a quick shout out to my guy JP real quick too before I read your super chat. My guy JP got engaged over the weekend. He proposed to his longtime girlfriend, posted a picture on socials. I saw it on Twitter with the ring. I couldn't be more elated for you, man. I'm so happy you found the person that you want to spend the rest of your life with. I've said this before, when you find that soulmate, when you find that person that you are willing to share the rest of your life with, it is a very special moment and thing. And not everyone is promised to be able to do that, to find that person that they want to spend the rest of their life with. So I want to congratulate you and your fiance, and I hope that you guys find yourself in marital bliss, and hope that the future is bright for you and your family. So with that said, my guy JP writes, sup Lou, first off, thank you for the congrats on my upcoming marriage. And secondly, I'm taking Lamar Jackson ahead of every other quarterback in the league not named Patrick Mahomes, Dangerous, and Brady. And you're not wrong for that. People that feel that way about Lamar Jackson, I totally get it. Because the guy is a dynamic playmaker, and you're going to win more games than you're going to lose with an athlete like Jackson at quarterback. You're going to win more games than you're going to lose with him at quarterback, period. End of discussion. If you could play a semblance of defense and you have a bit of a run game, you give him just enough weapons, because he hasn't had a ton of complementary weapons outside at receiver. Where the most talent has really been is at tight end. He hasn't had a ton of receiver weaponry. I think they've added the requisite amount of weapons at receiver now. And I think he's going to really have potentially his best passing year of his career in 2021. But because of his dynamic ability with his legs, he is a threat every time he takes a snap from center to hurt you. And that it's not just with his legs. He can create off schedule to then hurt you with his arm. So I don't blame anyone that feels like Jackson is the move and then everybody else get in line behind him. Don't have a problem. And that's why he won the league MVP. That's why the Ravens were 14-2 that year. Okay? Didn't end the way that they wanted it to, but Jackson's ability is unquestioned in this league, and anybody that feels like he's number one on that list of 2018 quarterbacks, you're not going to get much pushback from me. He's not my guy at number one, but I can understand somebody saying that that's their number one. Totally get it. Got a super chat here from Feel the Pain, Young Man. I like the name, Feel the Pain, Young Man. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Who writes, Lamar Jackson can't pass the ball accurately. It was so funny last year. Every team defense called out Jackson's calls because he is so limited. Josh Allen is not limited. Jackson does have a bit of a ways to go, and you do have to scheme it up a bit to make sure that he's comfortable. But in the same sense, I think that they needed to do more to surround him with talent, and they did that this offseason. I think they went out of their way to make sure that they added guys like Samuel Watkins, like Rashad Bateman, to go along with Hollywood Brown, to really give him some options at receiver, not just at tight end and the running backs out of the backfield. So now he's got a true full cupboard of weaponry out at receiver, not Willie Snead. And I'm not trying to disrespect Willie Snead, because he's a quality receiver in this league, but he's no Samuel Watkins when healthy. He's no Rashad Bateman potentially. And, you need real options to go to separate. And I think this is going to really help their offense. So we'll see. We'll see what happens with Jackson. But Josh Allen definitely not limited. And you watched what he was able to do last year. I thought that he took some massive steps forward, leaps and bounds. And that was what I was looking for from him, because there were still people who doubted Josh Allen, especially after the postseason game against Houston, where there was some late game tomfoolery by Josh Allen back in 2019. I thought that he responded with one hell of a season last year. And I think whatever critics may have been out there, I think he silenced them with his play a season ago. Got another super chat. This one is from Redneck Rocker 01. Double up. Thank you for doubling up, Redneck Rocker 01. Greatly appreciate you. Who writes, I think Holcomb has a chance to be top 10. We'll see. It's especially at linebacker. That's a very arbitrary number. Top 10 at the line. Just be a really good linebacker at the end of the day. It's one thing to talk about top 10 receivers or top 10 running backs, things of that nature, top 5 running backs, whatever the case may be. But linebackers, it's so many of them. There are 3 of them, upwards of 4 at a time, depending on what kind of defense you have. And so it's a lot of these guys in the league. And, we'll see what Cole Holcomb turns into his first year being in the same system for back-to-back years. I think he has a chance to have a massive breakout season in 2021, but got to go out and do it first. So we'll see what happens in the upcoming season. So thank you guys for the super chat. What I want to do right now is take the opportunity as we transition to our next segment, Run or Done. Before we get into it, what I want to ask you guys to do out there is to do me a huge solid and subscribe to the Louie T Network for more great content. Turn on your notification bell so you don't miss a thing. And also hit the like button if you haven't already done so. Over 80 of you are out there watching this podcast at the current moment. Only 28 likes. That is criminal. We should be up around 50 with that kind of viewership and should be pushing towards 55, 60. So if you haven't hit the like button, please do me a huge solid and hit the like button. I'm going ahead and thanking you in advance. So let's talk about the next segment, and it's called Run or Done. And what we're going to do with this edition of Run or Done is we're going to talk about players that are currently free agents available on the market at this current juncture, and whether they've got more ball in them, so they've got some more run in them, or are they done? Do you view their career as, hey, they're over the hill, their best ball is behind them, they've really got nothing left to offer, stick a fork in that player, he's done. So is there more run? Is there some more tread left on that tire? Is there more gasoline in that tank? Does this particular player have more run in them, or is he done? So I'm going to give you a list of players. I'm going to go through them one by one. I'm not answering this. I'm posing this question to you. I'm just throw this out there. I'm going to give you some of the things that came to my head, and then I'm going to allow you guys to answer this. And what we'll do is we'll come back and maybe down the road when these guys sign, because I think probably all, if not most of these guys will eventually sign. I'll give you my opinions as these guys end up finding homes eventually, if they do find homes. We'll see. Some of these guys could be done. I remember when the Kansas City Chiefs safety Eric Berry kind of was pushed out of the door by the Chiefs, and I later found out that he had some things going on that I didn't know about. But I just because I missed all of the extra stuff, I just assumed he was going to find a home, and he never did. So you never know with some of these guys. Anyway, I digress. Let's start with the defensive tackle position. And there are two guys in particular that I want to talk about, but we're going to start first with Jurrell Casey, the former Tennessee Titan, then Denver Bronco, who only played in 3 games last year and tore his bicep, which caused him to miss the remainder of the 2020 season and really became a forgotten man. Because I was excited about Jurrell Casey in Denver, and I thought the Titans prematurely gave him away. They gave him away for a hot ham and cheese sandwich that was cold. I think they traded him for like a 7th round pick, and I was like, really, that's how you feel about Jurrell Casey? A guy that used to be one of the best interior pass rushing defensive tackles in the league. That's how you feel about it? You're just going to give him away for a cold hot ham and cheese sandwich. It was like, yeah, that's pretty much where we at right now. We drafted Big Jeffrey Simmons, as my guy MJ likes to say. And so I said, okay, well, fine. If that's how you feel, do your thing. But I look at Jurrell Casey, 31 years old, and I'm saying I don't think he's done yet. But we'll see. Somebody's got to be willing to give this guy an opportunity. He's available. He's only 31 years old. I think there's some good football potentially left in him. We'll see what happens, but I thought that he was going to be able to wreak havoc in Denver, especially after they moved on from Derek Wolfe. They were going to need a presence inside, and it was unfortunate that he tore his biceps in 2020. But we'll see what happens with Jurrell Casey. What do you guys say? Run or done? Is Jurrell Casey done? Or does he still have a run left in him? Geno Atkins, we go from one defensive tackle to the next defensive tackle. Geno Atkins, again, another dominant interior defensive tackle, once upon a time in this league. Now getting a little long in the tooth. He's 33 years old. He only played in 8 games last year due to a shoulder injury. Hasn't really been the pass rushing presence that he once was in Cincinnati. Is Geno Atkins done? Or does he still have a run in him? Okay. Keep in mind, 33 years old, coming off of another injury, this time to his shoulder. Hasn't really been as effective as he once was. But could he help a team that's contending? Could he be a rotational depth defensive tackle that you bring in on 3rd and 8? Can he still be a force in limited snaps? I'm asking you. Run or done? Geno Atkins. Is there still football left in Geno Atkins? Or can you stick a fork in Geno? The man is done. Malik Hooker. I think I know the answer to this for most of you, but I'm going to throw this out there anyway. He's only 25 years old. But the guy can't stay healthy. And the talent is obviously there, but if he's so talented and we think so highly of him, why hasn't he signed somewhere? He's 25. He's had multiple sit downs and meetings with teams about potentially signing on board and becoming a part of their defensive backs room. And he hasn't signed anywhere. So whether that's Dallas, whether that's, I think he was in Cincinnati at one point, Pittsburgh, whatever the case may be, he hasn't signed anywhere. I don't know why that is. I don't know if there have been philosophical differences. I don't know if the money was an issue, or I don't know if his physicals didn't check out necessarily. Whatever the case may be, he's still available. He's 25. He's got a ton of raw ability, but he can't stay healthy. And really, nobody knows what this guy's really truly capable of. Run or done? Malik Hooker, 25 years old, run or done? Got football left in him at 25 years old, or is he done as a 25-year-old? We see it all the time. He wouldn't be the first nor the last 25-year-old to find his way out of the league as a former first-round pick. He won't be the first if he's done, and he surely won't be the last. Is he done? Will we hear Malik Hooker's name in some one of these random, spin-off leagues? What are these random spring leagues that are trying to crop up? Whether it be the XFL or some coordination of it, or the USFL, will we hear his name somewhere else other than the NFL? Let's go to the offensive side of the football. Let's go to the running back position in particular. Got a few names here that I want to throw at you. Start with Duke Johnson, running back, formerly of the Cleveland Browns and the Houston Texans, now 28 years old and looking for work. Okay, Duke Johnson hasn't always been the healthiest back in the league, but he has been a very productive one when given the opportunity to be. So I look at Duke Johnson. I don't think he's a 3-down back, but when used as one, he's been very productive. But I think he's more of a 3rd-down back, a guy you could throw it to out of the backfield every now and again, draw handoff or something like that. Out of the gun, you want to give it to Duke Johnson. He can, get it up in there and hit it quick. But at the end of the day, when he's given opportunities, he's taking advantage of it. But the more he touches it, it seems the more likely it is to get injured. So, with that said, at 28 years old, is there a run in Duke Johnson, or is Duke Johnson done? Can he still help a team, or is Duke Johnson done? I just look at Duke Johnson. I'm just going to say this. I just look at a Duke Johnson and I say, he can't help a Miami Dolphins team. Like, he can't help somebody like that needs another guy. Like, they don't have a true alpha at running back. You can't add a Duke Johnson to your running backs room and he can't help elevate it. I'm just asking for a friend. So I think I look at Arizona and I'm saying, you lost a really dynamic back to free agency this year. And you didn't really replace that guy. You went out and got James Conner. So I'm looking at the Cardinals and I'm saying, you need, and they got Chase, shucks. Can't think of his last name. And I really like him. I think he needs more opportunities, in Arizona. But I'm like, you can never have enough of those types of backs. So I'm not saying, I'm just saying, 28 years old, Duke Johnson, run or done. Got another running back. We talked about him on the podcast just, I don't know, about a week ago, maybe 2. Le'Veon Bell, L.Bell. 29 years old. Hasn't rushed for 1,000 yards since his last year in Pittsburgh, 2017. Since then, he was a non-factor with the Jets. They didn't do a great job of giving him opportunities to be successful. There wasn't a ton of talent on the field. At points, there were no other players on the offensive side of the football, especially at the quarterback position when Darnold was injured, that could help. And so it was a mess. He finally gets out of there. He goes to Kansas City. Got a little run there, but nothing really to which to speak of. And now we sit here with the 29-year-old Le'Veon Bell. There may be some tread left on the tires, but there's also some injuries on the Carfax. So there's a little give and take. He's 29 years old. Still thinks he can play. Still thinks he can be a major factor for a team. After what you saw with him with the Chiefs last year, late in the season, when he did get run, Le'Veon Bell, 29 years old, run or done? Is there good football left in him? Can he still help someone? Could he latch on to a team that's looking to compete this year for something meaningful and help them? Or is he done? I've kind of stated my position on this, but I'm straddling the fence. You know, I'm straddling the fence. Got another running back for you. One more back and then we'll switch gears one final time. Todd Gurley. He's an all true man, yeah, baby. Todd Gurley. He's going to be signed somewhere. There are teams sniffing around Todd Gurley. Lions, Ravens. There are teams that are interested. I don't know why the Ravens are interested. I've already said this. Don't know why the Ravens are interested. They don't have any space on their roster for him. Yet, for some reason, they're interested. They want to collect another veteran back for some reason. I don't know. Either way, makes sense why Detroit's interested. They're collecting as many ex-Rams players as they can in Detroit. Because the GM that's there came from the Rams and Brad Holmes. So it makes a ton of sense why they're interested. When I look at their running back position, I'm like, you got enough young guys here that you really don't need Todd Gurley taking carries from them. But that's another story for another day. Bottom line is, Todd Gurley is going to be 27 years old by the time the season starts. 27. He feels like he's 47. 27 years old. Hasn't played in less than 13 games in any season in his career. So we may make a lot about Todd Gurley and his knee and their arthritic and their this and their that, and he's always banged up. He doesn't miss games. He does not miss games. Never played in any less than 13 games any season in his career. It's either 13, 14, 15, or all 16. So Todd Gurley, I'm going to give you his numbers from last year. We can sit here and talk about Gurley is this, he's that, he's slowing down, he's all of this stuff. And yeah, he was outstanding for a stretch run there in L.A. with the Rams. That year they went to the Super Bowl. The year before that, yeah, he was outstanding. Probably not going to get back to that status. Probably not going to get back to that level, but can he still help? Last year in Atlanta, 195 carries, 678 yards, and 9 touchdowns. That's why I still think he's a guy that can help you, is he still has a nose for the end zone. Some guys can find it, other guys cannot. He's one of those guys that can find the end zone. But is Todd Gurley done, or does he still have a run? Does he still have a run? And we're going to finish up this segment, and then we're going to read some of your responses from the comment section quickly. Wide receiver position. Alshon Jeffrey. Never, ever trust a man with 2 first names. Alshon Jeffrey. Injury-riddled seasons the past 2 years. 17 of 32 games played the last 2 seasons. Just like Malik Hooker. We talked about his inability to stay healthy. He's only played in a possible 19 of 48 games. Or excuse me, he's missed 19 of a possible 48 games over the last 3 years, has Malik Hooker. For Alshon Jeffrey, he's only played in 15 of a possible 30, or excuse me, 17 of a possible 32 games over the last 2 seasons. So he's missed 15 games, slightly over 50% of the games he played in over the last 2 seasons for Alshon Jeffrey. He was already slow to begin with. With all the injuries, has he lost a step? He's not getting any younger. I don't know. Can Alshon Jeffrey still help someone? He's big. He's physical. He's got a catch radius. He's got hands. Can he help? You tell me. Alshon Jeffrey. Never, ever trust a man with 2 first names. Does he still have some ball left in him? He got some run left in him? Or is he done? Talk to me. All right, so I'm going to run through a few of these answers. I got a super chat here, so I'm going to take that first, and then we'll run through some of your answers. Redneck Rocker 01, thank you for your 3rd super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Redneck Rocker 01 writes, how many more chances is Big Ben going to get? I think this is his last year. But again, we say that, then Ben comes out, has a top 3 MVP voting type year, and he could decide, I'm not done yet. They don't have shit. It's not like they got a guy waiting in the wings. You know, we can sit here and listen to all the Dwayne Haskins looks great and his mechanics are the best I've ever seen talk. But until he actually proves it on the field, nobody gives a shit. They didn't draft Dwayne Haskins. They got him on a basement bargain off the scrap heap deal. So they're not invested in Dwayne Haskins. There's nobody there waiting. It'd be one thing if this were a Green Bay Packers situation where they got Jordan Love waiting and you're like, all right, if you say you're going to retire, if this is it, then, you know, Jordan's ready to take over. You, like Brett Favre, you can't just retire and then decide, I want to play now. And no, we've already given the job to the young fella who's been waiting patiently this entire time. There's no guy in Pittsburgh for that. So if Ben decides next year, you know what? That last year felt really good. I had a ton of fun. I still feel like I can play. I played at a high level last year. I want to give it another run. I don't think the Steelers are going to stop him from doing that. Don't think the Steelers are going to stop him at all. But if he stinks it up, and guys usually, no, I shouldn't say that. You want guys to know when to say when. Sometimes teams have to help them with that. But in the case of Ben Roethlisberger, if he plays well, and he wants to come back, he'll probably be back. If not, they'll move on to the next guy. So I can see Ben getting as many chances as long as he's playing well as he wants in Pittsburgh. Because there is no heir apparent to Ben in Pittsburgh. So let's run through a few of these comments. Rich says Jarrell Casey is done. Andre Bugg says Jarrell Casey is done. Jay Willard says he's done as well. Could get picked up if injuries start to happen. Andre Bugg says Geno is also done. Rich says Geno has run left in him. Jay Willard says these are camp bodies and you are hoping to get the old dominant player back in spurts. Like these aren't guys that consider themselves, you know, camp bodies. Either I'm going to be on your football team and you're going to give me a legitimate shot, or I don't want to play. Like they've been too good in their careers to just be a guy at camp. So Rich says Malik has some run left in him. Jay Willard says Hooker isn't done, but he's going to have to take a prove-it deal for little bread. Absolutely. I think that was my assumption, which is why I wanted Washington to kick the tires. Like that same John Ross deal, 1 year, $2.5 million. That's what I was looking to score Malik Hooker on. And that may be the hang-up for some of these teams is that, look, the cap went down. We don't got a whole bunch of, you know, bread to just throw at you on a 1 year deal like in past years where dudes was getting, you know, 1 year, $7.5 million prove-it deals. That ain't what you getting right now. That's not the market for those kind of deals with the cap being reduced. $2.5 million is all I got to spare, and he may be wanting a little bit more than that. I don't know why he hasn't signed yet. Andre Bugg says Malik it has run. Virginia Slim says he's got to run. left him in as well. I thought that would be the overwhelming answer, and it was. Jay Willard says Duke has still got a little run left in him. Rich says Duke has a run. Andre Bug says Duke is done. Okay. Let's see. Rich says Bell is done. Captain Spartan says, I'm a massive fan of Duke Johnson. Want him on the Steelers still. That'd be a good landing spot for him as well. Andre Bug says Bell has run left in him. Captain says Bell is done. Virginia Slim says Bell is washed. Jay Willard says Bell is done. Don Keith says he's not only done, but he's burned bridges with his Andy Reid comments, which didn't help him any at all. Captain Spartan says Gurley still has some run left in him. He's only 26. Andre Buck says Gurley's got run, but he can't stay healthy. Let's see. Willard says Gurley isn't done if you can get him in a running back by committee. And Rich also says Gurley has some run left in him. So a lot of you think that Gurley has some run left in him. Captain Spartan 04 says Jeffrey, one more team and then he's done. Rich, however, and Andre Bug both say Alshon Jeffrey is done. Jay Willard says Alshon is a run. As a wide receiver 3 or a veteran presence in the locker room. So he doesn't think he's quite done yet. Captain Spartan on Jarrell Casey says he is done. Sadly, he probably still has it. It just don't see it anyone taking a risk on him. Captain Spartan says Geno Atkins absolutely should still be a run. It's stupid Rams haven't signed him yet. So that's interesting. And Mick Nolan says Bell is done. Nobody's putting up with the drama. And you know what's crazy is that he wasn't really, bringing a ton of drama to the Chiefs during the season, which is when it matters. He brought a lot of undue attention to himself after the season was done with his comments. So I don't know if there's any drama with him necessarily during the season. I could be wrong. Then there was drama with him in Pittsburgh. But when you're coming on to somebody else's team, and you're not the guy. When he was in Pittsburgh, he was one of the guys. He was one of the big contributors on that team. So they'd be willing to put up with some nonsense. You can get away with a little bit more when you're that guy. When you're at the point of his career that he's at right now, you don't have that leeway. You don't have the ability to, be a bit of a disruptive force or to go and march to the beat of your own drum, because you can get cut at any time because, hey, we don't need you. You didn't help us. You didn't help us build what we have going right now. So the key is in a different spot right now, but we will see. Thank you guys for your participation there. As we get to our final segment of the show in garbage time. Quickly, if you haven't already done so, do your man Louie T a huge solid. Hit that subscribe button. Turn on the notification bell so you don't miss a thing. And also hit the like button. Over 80 of you still out there consuming this pod, yet we still have not hit 50 likes. Why? Okay, why? Come on, guys. Help me out. Meet me halfway. So, got a super chat real quick from Gunny Man. Thank you for the super chat, Gunny Man, who writes, Adam Humphries done like Duke basketball and Ben Simmons. LOL. Just saying. I'm just saying. Ben Simmons isn't done. He's just probably done in Philadelphia. I don't know how they moved that contract, though. That's the biggest issue, and who's looking to take on that. But there's in the NBA, the beauty of it is there's always somebody willing to take a risk because they just don't have. You don't have a star. You think this guy could be a star, and there's no alternative for us. What do we got to lose? So you take a risk. But if he doesn't develop some kind of consistent shot, he may never be a great free throw shooter, but he's got to be willing to shoot the basketball. And if he can't develop some kind of shot, then he'll never maximize his full potential in the league. Sounds like Joel Embiid is done. Sounds like Doc Rivers is non-committal. I could easily see Ben Simmons being on the outs in Philadelphia. but Duke basketball isn't done. I know what you're trying to do. I hear your jokes. And Adam Humphries isn't done. Well, but we'll see. Time will tell. Freak Athlete 05. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Freak Athlete 05 who writes, Steven Sims Jr. needs more touches. He can be a dynamic threat out there. That was the thought last year. That hasn't changed, by the way. He can be a dynamic threat. I just think he missed his window of opportunity. The window of opportunity was last year. It was wide open. There wasn't a ton of competition at the receiver position. He had a specific role on the team as the potential number 2 wide receiver and game-breaking threat on punts, on jet sweeps, on short passes, and then with the ability to maybe stretch the football field vertically with him winning with quickness on some routes and maybe getting behind the defense. And he didn't take advantage. He got injured, and that sucks because I think that really hurt him. But he dropped a ton of passes. He muffed a bunch of punts. He fumbled away the opportunity that was presented to him last year. And so I just don't think Steven Sims Jr. is going to make the team now. There's a lot more competition. Ron Rivera didn't draft him. No one drafted him. He was undrafted, but Ron inherited him and thought that, hey, this is a guy that we think could potentially be really good. And I think he really didn't take advantage of that opportunity that he was given last year. And because of that, I think they're going to move on from him. They drafted De'Ami Brown. They brought in Adam Humphries as a free agent. They brought in Curtis Samuel as a free agent. They drafted Dax Milne. They're going to move on from Steven Sims Jr., I believe. I could be wrong. And he could be a guy that they give another opportunity to, but I think he's done, personally. So we'll see. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you, Freak Athlete 5. So, garbage time. Quickly, we talked about this briefly, I want to say about a week and a half ago, that Dirty Chaz, Mark Sanchez, and Bob Griffin III, Bob Three Sticks, a.k.a. Robert Griffin III, both went on a couple of mock interviews or couple of opportunities to try out for Fox and ESPN analyst roles, and both reportedly knocked it out of the park. And so I said Robert Griffin III is made to do that. He's made to be behind the microphone. He's got the gift of gab, and I think he's a guy that really has the charisma that is necessary. And what he showed during the Bleacher Report, segment that he had with the appearance he had with the draft breakdown was he's not afraid to say controversial stuff. He's not afraid to go after people. And, unlike, some guys that have been in the league a long time, they're well liked and you kind of don't want to step on people's toes. He doesn't have a lot of friends in the league, more likely than not. So he probably doesn't mind stepping on people's toes. He's not going to offend anybody because he really probably doesn't care. So I think he's got a chance to really be dynamic in a role as an analyst. And I think Dirty Chaz, he's just really good at breaking things down. I've watched him on Fox, ESPN's coverage. He's done some things with college football. So I think he's done a phenomenal job of doing his, role. And it seems like Fox is prepared to offer Dirty Chaz, who they were impressed with 2 years ago, an opportunity to be their analyst, because they lost Chris Spielman last year, who took that job with the Lions. So I think they're prepared to give him an opportunity to be one of their analysts and take over that job for Chris Spielman. And we'll see what happens with that. But I think the ESPN job might be more lucrative for a guy like Robert Griffin III because you get more opportunities. They're going to put him on their college football coverage. He's going to have some NFL responsibilities. And they've also said that he's going to be a guy that will be on those spots on like Get Up in the Morning and things of that nature, which Fox really doesn't have all those opportunities. They've got college football coverage. They've got NFL coverage. They've got Undisputed. They've got some shows that he could probably be on, but ESPN is the much bigger product, and I think he's looking for something that's going to help him build his brand a little bit bigger. So I think ESPN may ultimately be the best landing destination for Robert Griffin III when it's all said and done anyway. So Fox may end up getting Dirty Chaz, which is, I think, their guy. They wanted to hire him 2 years ago. They just didn't have a seat for him. Now that Chris Spielman has moved on, they do have a seat for him, and I think he's going to be the guy they go with on Fox. And I think ESPN losing Mark Sanchez may now get Robert Griffin III. So we should see a little bit of a shakeup and see some new fresh faces, and I want to see how these guys do. I also heard that Peyton Manning potentially could be on the Amazon. Remember, Amazon is going to be taking over the Thursday night package, and they're looking for some big names. They're trying to beef up their product. So because we know the Thursday night product isn't the best in the world, so they're looking for a way to, entice people to get the Amazon Prime if you don't already have it, and get people to want to watch these games. And one of the ways that they can do that is to overspend on a guy like Peyton Manning, get him in the booth, which everyone was trying to get him into their booth, especially Monday Night Football. They've tried so many times to get him to be one of their lead analysts. However, because they've had so much trouble with locking down a big name color guy. So he said he would have done it with Tirico, and he said he would have done it with Al Michaels, which is why ESPN tried, but to no avail, to trade for Al Michaels from NBC to get him to Monday Night Football on ESPN, so that Peyton Manning would then agree to do Monday Night Football. But because they've had Joe Tessitore and they've got all these different guys circling through the booth as the color guy, Manning's like, no, I'm not working with that nonsense. So maybe he would have done it with McDonough, but McDonough didn't get along with Gruden at the end, and then he was like, I wasn't having any fun doing Monday Night Football, and so he went back to college. And so now they don't have Manning, but Manning may be on Amazon. We'll see. I mean, there's a lot of different dynamics going on with the broadcasting world right now, so we'll see what happens with all of these different booths. I think we're going to see a bit of a shakeup, because Dick Stockton's, they're going to have to hire somebody to do color for Fox soon, because Dick Stockton's lost his fastball, and I don't know how many more years he can hang on doing play-by-play for Fox. So they're going to have to do something there eventually as well. So it should be interesting. It should be really, really interesting to see what happens. Anyway, I digress. Got a super chat here to take us out from my guy John Livingston. JL Smooth, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Who writes, what up, Lou? Just got here. What did you rank the QBs? Hope all is well. Real quick to recap our 2018 quarterbacks discussion. Where would you rank these guys? I've got Josh Allen. Josh Allen's always been my number one. You guys know that. When the 2018 draft was what we were talking about, when those quarterbacks were coming into the league, Josh Allen was my guy. He was my guy then. He's my guy now. Nothing has changed. I swore by Josh Allen then. I thought he was the best quarterback coming out of that draft class. I think he's the best of that group now. But Lamar Jackson has had a profound impact in this league. And so Lamar Jackson, if anybody were to put him ahead of Allen, I would not have any issues with that. The man's won an MVP, led the Baltimore Ravens to a 14-2 record 2 years ago, has had them in the playoffs every year of his career, including his rookie season, where he took over for Joe Flacco midway through the season. So all Jackson has done since coming into the league is win. And so I don't blame anyone for having, like my guy JP, who earlier in the show said, I got Jackson after every quarterback in the league not named Mahomes, Brady, or Rodgers, or Russell Wilson. So again, for anybody that feels that way, I don't have any issues with that, because Jackson has been so dynamic in his career to this point. But I'm a Josh Allen guy, have been, continue to be. One for me, Jackson 2, Mayfield is third. But Darnold is interesting because I think he's got a big time season ahead of him. under Joe Brady in Carolina in 2021. So this may be something that we could revisit down the road and maybe have a bit of a shakeup with another name entered into the mix. But we will see. So anyway, I digress. Thank you for the super chats and all of the comments. Looking forward to chopping it up with you guys down the road. That's going to do it for me, your man Louie T, and the 172nd installment of the Louie T Network podcast. If you haven't already done so, one final time, please subscribe to the Louie T Network for more great content. Turn on your notification bell so you don't miss a thing. And also hit the like button. We finally got it up over 50, so I appreciate you for that. And we've gotten it close to the amount of viewers out there, so I can definitely respect that. We're up over 60 now. There's 78 of you out there currently, so I appreciate that. If you haven't hit the like button, please do so on the way out. With that said, thank you guys for joining me on the 172nd installment of the Louie T Network podcast. Look forward to chopping it up with you guys again on Wednesday. And we'll have social media maneuvers on Wednesday. So come prepared with any and every question that you have, and we'll chop it up and talk about the National Football League and everything else under the sun, if it is pertinent. But until then, get off the bench, get in the game, and kick it with me, your man Louie T. Until next time, you guys, take care. Hope you had a great weekend and hope you are enjoying your Monday. We'll be back on Wednesday. Have a good one.
LouieTeeNetwork.